Today we're looking at the hard sights of an 880. This is a Daisy 35, but they are identical. So people underrate these sights, but I'm going to show the accuracy I got later on. But let's look at how this works. They have 3 marks on each side, which is enough to get this done if you know what to do. The common mistake that people make with these sights is they just loosen the screw here and they just shove, oh, here, let me loosen it. They just shove that piece of sheet metal side to side and trying to wing it looking at the slot, and that's not effective. Most people just get frustrated. So use the markings that Daisy gives you. There's 3 on each side. Now, one of the things I want to point out is that one of the guns I sighted in was in between one of those, or in between the middle and the front marking. And so you do your own micro moves. Yes, this is very primitive. There's no clicking. I get that. But using those reference points that Daisy was nice enough to give us, try to go 5 actually. See, 5 reference points. So 3 markings and gaps on each side of this the middle marking. So sometimes you will sight it in, it'll be right on the marking. Otherwise, try to get it, what I saw is right in the middle. Right in the middle between the first mark and the second mark. And that's where I got my 0 screwdriver. And all right, and remember when you're doing this to be careful. It's just sheet metal and a small screw. You don't want to strip the screw. The screw is the big one. Okay, so then you do it like that. And so that is a Pittsburgh 0.2-inch. Okay, and then just put it on hand tight. Okay, and there will be times where when you're sighting it in, that inner tooth right there, if you want, the sharp edge lines up with the line. Other times, like with me, it didn't. It was between the first and the second line. So you do your own micro moves. On elevation, I like 2 on the 880. 3 if it's a heavier pellet. Okay, let's go ahead and take a break and look at the accuracy I was able to achieve so you know that this is worth your time. Okay, well, it is the holiday season and I had some Christmas stationery, so let's just shoot at it since I wasn't using it. And let's point some things out here. This is an inch circle, 13 yards, 15 yards. Actually, at one point, was able to start rapid firing because once you get good with the 880 trigger and pick up the slack till you hit the first real wall, meaning the release point, I was able to actually rapid fire that. Now, there's people that thought that you couldn't achieve this, that they'd just be happy to nick and hit and get close to this inch circle at 15 yards especially, but this is a dime. Now, that's 4 out of 5. There is 4 shots in here, and that's 0.75. That's way better than just nicking an inch. So I knew I could get better. So you can get very good accuracy, okay, with the 880 hard sights. 10 for 10 here. I consider those all hits in the field. All 9 hit solidly in or on that dime circle. So yes, your hard sights for the 880 can do that for those that don't believe or don't know yet, haven't tried. Okay, now I did go a little more in depth with the ammo. I went with simply Daisy ammunition's fine. I just wanted to get a little more serious and see what I could do with the hard sights. What could I achieve? So those are almost 8 grains on the head. And if you look back at the target, the viewer's obviously going to notice, hey, they're coming in high. Yes, but we're dealing with very crude hard sights, and I'm totally fine with this with 8 grain wad cutters because I hunt with dome pellets that are about 8.5, and they'll come in more towards the middle. So I'm perfectly happy with that. So yes, I know the viewer will spot this, but those are definitely, that type of actually will work in the field, and the slightly heavier pellets will land in the middle. Okay, now let's talk about the dovetail. Okay, so with the dovetail, it's plastic, can break, can warp, and if you haven't got a Daisy 35 or 880 yet, and you just think you have to have a scope on it, well, you know, I'm not going to get into a huge debate about scoping these things. The dovetail is vulnerable. It is plastic. It can get warped or break even. So I would please work your sights here. I mean, get that sighted in. It's worth the time and effort, just in case if you're in the field, it's a shot you need to take, your gun has been bumped, you hit a tree and didn't notice it, and it's jarred, warped, and your scopes obviously has to get taken off. You at least have your hard sights to work with. And you may surprise yourself if you turn it to a competition at close range between the hard sights and especially a cheap scope. You'll probably decide to go with the hard sights. But again, even if you plan to scope your 880 or 35, please make sure your hard sights are good to go just for an emergency situation. All right, thank you.